The original London company of Les Miserables, taking us up to the news there. Don't go too far because I'm going to be straight back with songs from Waitress, We Will Rock You, and Frozen 2, amongst many more. This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker, and on 88 to 91 FM.
With the BBC News at 2 o'clock, this is Jason Kay. Scientists and environmentalists have welcomed a landmark global agreement aimed at safeguarding the oceans. If implemented, the treaty will create protected areas covering 30% of the high seas or international waters by the end of this decade. It would introduce limits on fishing activity, shipping lane routes and deep-sea mining. Rishi Sunak has said he's determined to make sure that people who arrive in the UK illegally will not be allowed to stay. In the coming days, the government's expected to announce a new law preventing anyone who's reached the UK in a small boat from France from claiming asylum. Charities have described the proposal as extremely concerning. Harjap Bangal is an immigration lawyer.
It's more pandering to what the public want to hear rather than what needs to be done and what's workable. We shall send people to Rwanda or other countries. Well, first of all, we know that the Rwanda flight isn't going to take off to March 2024 by the earliest, if it does. And in the same case, the High Court of this country ruled that this country is under an obligation to treat each case individually.
The father of Safi Roussos, the youngest victim of the Manchester Arena bombing, says he intends to sue MI5. Andrew Roussos says the security service has most of the blame for the attack. The public inquiry into the atrocity found that it might have been prevented if MI5 had acted on intelligence received in the months before. It's understood that the former senior civil servant Sue Gray will contact the appointments watchdog tomorrow about her intention to become the chief of staff to the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. Mrs Gray, who investigated Downing Street parties during COVID lockdowns, has resigned from the civil service. Conservative MPs say that her move calls into question the impartiality of her report, but Labour's Jonathan Ashworth says it shows his party is ready for government.
Sue Gray is a woman of immense integrity, and she will set all of this out as she follows the proper processes and procedures that one does when you are a senior civil servant and you leave the civil service. She was always going to be on the list when we knew there was a vacancy, and the fact that Sue Gray wants to come and work for Keir Starmer shows how seriously people are taking the prospect of Keir Starmer as a Prime Minister.
The Greek Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, has asked for forgiveness from the families of the 57 people killed in the country's worst rail disaster. More protests about last week's crash have been taking place, with clashes between police and demonstrators in Athens. The local journalist Anthi Karasava says there's a lot of anger.
These scuffles have died down, they have subsided a bit, but there are draconian measures in place to keep them from heating up again. And this is a scene that is recurring and will continue to be recurring because there is a lot of palpable anger.
The Formula One season kicks off in the next hour in Bahrain with Red Bull's Max Verstappen on pole position. Lewis Hamilton will start the race from 7th. That's the BBC News. It's 3 minutes past 2. Time for the travel news now. Here's Orna Merchant.
Jason, thank you very much. It's colder weather out there. Quite a few people still in the Lake District. It's the A66, which is still closed after this accident, which happened a while ago now. It's between Warcop and Brough, but the road is still closed and the queues are backing up through Kirby Stephen as people divert, and it's very slow for you as well. Long distance traffic needs to go towards the M6 and the A1M. At County Durham, the A19 still at the scene. It's a broken down caravan southbound near the A689 at Wolverston through to Norton Interchange. And in Preston, it's actually looking quite slow now on the M6 at junction 31. South Yorkshire, the A630 West Moorlink is closed at Edenthorpe. That's after an accident which happened heading in the direction of Armthorpe. The A55 North Wales Expressway and travelling west around Ewloe at junction 34. There's a rolling roadblock, and that's because of repairs, so it shouldn't be too long, but it is looking slow at the moment. And in Essex, the M11 is closed on the northbound side for weekend work. Junction 7A at Harlow to 8 at Bishop Stortford. There's more weekend work going on as well, which means part of the A404M is closed, and that's on the eastbound side from the Thicket roundabout at junction 9B through to the main M4 at junction 89 for Maidenhead. So